Emma Spencer had everything: a sprawling mansion overlooking the Pacific, a thriving career as a neurosurgeon, and Richard, her investment banker husband of 7 years. Their life in the exclusive Malibu community was the envy of their social circle. Designer clothes, charity galas, and weekend getaways to their Aspen chalet were just ordinary parts of their perfect existence. Emma discovered she was pregnant after years of trying. Richard spun her around their marble-floored living room, tears glistening in his eyes. "Our miracle," he whispered, hand resting on her still flat stomach. Their nursery plans began immediately. A renowned interior designer, custom Italian furniture, a hand-painted mural of the night sky. The first sign appeared during her 4th month. Richard's late nights at the office became more frequent. His phone, once casually left on countertops, was now perpetually in his pocket or face down. The man who once texted her hourly updates now took hours to respond. "Just the Westbrook merger," he'd explain, kissing her forehead absently. "It'll calm down soon." Emma might have believed him if not for the unfamiliar perfume lingering on his collar, something floral and youthful, nothing like her signature sandalwood scent. Credit card statements showed lunch charges at the Four Seasons, a hotel they never visited together. The confirmation came when Emma's colleague mentioned seeing Richard at an intimate dinner with a young woman at Nobu. "I assumed it was his sister," Dr. Patel said awkwardly. "The one you mentioned was visiting from Chicago." Richard had no sister. That night, Emma waited up, rehearsing confrontations in her mind. When Richard arrived home past midnight, she simply asked, "Who is she?" His expression shifted from surprise to resignation in seconds. No denial came. Instead, he sighed heavily, loosening his tie. "Vanessa, my executive assistant." "How long?" 3 months. He sat across from her, not beside her. "Emma, this pregnancy, it wasn't supposed to happen. We had to plan careers first, maybe children later. Our plan changed when I got pregnant," Emma said, hand protectively covering her growing bump. Richard's laugh was hollow. "No, your plan changed. I never wanted this." "And Vanessa doesn't want children? She's 26. She wants what I want: freedom. Success, traveling the world without diaper bags and nannies." Emma felt the foundation of her life crumbling beneath her. The perfect husband, the perfect marriage, all illusions, carefully maintained in their picture-perfect world. "I want a divorce," Richard said finally, his voice oddly gentle. "And I'm questioning the paternity of the child." Emma's blood ran cold. "What?" "We both know our marriage has been empty for years. Who's to say you didn't find comfort elsewhere?" The accusation hung in the air like poison. The family courtroom felt suffocating as Emma sat beside her attorney, Alexandra Cruz, a razor-sharp divorce lawyer known for taking down San Francisco's elite husbands. At 8 months pregnant, Emma struggled to find a comfortable position on the hard wooden bench. Across the aisle, Richard looked immaculate in his Tom Ford suit, projecting wounded dignity. His attorney, Jameson Wells, had a reputation for ruthless tactics that left wives penniless despite prenuptial agreements. But what truly pierced Emma's heart was the woman sitting directly behind Richard: Vanessa Moore, young, willowy, with cascading blonde hair and a designer pantsuit that emphasized her flat stomach. Whenever the judge looked away, Vanessa would touch Richard's shoulder in a possessive gesture. "Your Honor," Wells began, "my client has serious concerns about the paternity of the child Dr. Spencer is carrying. During the period of conception, their marriage was already experiencing significant problems." Emma watched in horror as Richard nodded solemnly, playing the role of betrayed husband perfectly. "We request immediate paternity testing upon the child's birth," Wells continued. "And given the uncertainty, we ask that all financial negotiations be postponed until parentage is established." Alexandra rose smoothly. "Your Honor, This is a transparent delay tactic. Dr. Spencer has been faithful throughout her marriage. Mr. Spencer, however, has been conducting an affair with his assistant, who is present in this courtroom today, while simultaneously attempting to divest himself of his financial responsibilities. The judge's eyes narrowed, glancing at Vanessa, who quickly adopted an expression of innocent concern. Furthermore, Alexandra continued, we have evidence of Mr. Spencer transferring assets to offshore accounts, beginning precisely when Dr. Spencer announced her pregnancy. Emma noticed Richard's jaw tighten. He hadn't expected her to discover the hidden accounts in the Cayman Islands. As the lawyers battled, Emma caught Vanessa studying her intently, not with hatred or triumph, but with calculation, assessing Emma like one might appraise property. This wasn't just about Richard. Vanessa wanted Emma's entire life, the mansion, the social status, the dynasty name. During a brief recess, Emma overheard Vanessa's whispered words to Richard. Once the paternity test proves it's not yours, she have nothing. It'll all be ours. Emma placed her hand on her swollen belly, feeling her son kick vigorously. She knew something that would change everything. Don't worry, she whispered to her unborn child. They have no idea what's coming. Emma's water broke 3 weeks early, during a particularly vicious deposition where Richard's lawyer suggested she deliberately trapped Richard with a pregnancy. The rush to Cedars-Sinai was a blur of pain and determination. 14 hours later, little Jane Spencer entered the world with a powerful cry and a distinctive feature that made the delivery nurse gasp. Perfect tiny birthmark, shaped like a crescent moon on his left shoulder. The exact same birthmark. Richard had. Emma knew its significance immediately. In Richard's family, this mark had appeared for generations. His father had it, his grandfather. Before him, Richard often boasted, was the Spencer stamp, proof of their distinguished bloodline. 3 days later, Richard arrived at the hospital with Wells and a court-ordered DNA test technician. Emma had been expecting them. I want to see the baby, Richard demanded, his voice carrying the entitled tone of a man used to getting his way. Of course, Emma replied calmly. James is right here. The nurse brought the newborn, swaddled tightly, except for his left shoulder, which Emma had deliberately left exposed. Richard took one look at the birthmark and visibly paled. Vanessa, who had boldly accompanied him, stepped forward to see what had caused his reaction. What is that mark? She asked sharply. The Spencer birthmark, Emma explained, watching understanding dawn on Richard's face. Passed down through Richard's family for generations. His father has it. Richard has it. And now, unmistakably, James has it. Wells cleared his throat uncomfortably. We should still proceed with the DNA test as ordered. By all means, Emma said, though I think we all know what it will show. Richard stepped back, suddenly looking trapped. Vanessa's perfect composure cracked as she hissed at him. You said there was no way it could be yours. Emma's attorney stepped forward, handing Richard new papers. Given this development, we've prepared a revised settlement proposal. I suggest you review it carefully. Later, after they'd gone, Alexandra stayed behind. That birthmark is quite the smoking gun. Emma smiled tiredly. In genetics, we call that a phenotypic marker. Impossible to fake and nearly impossible to explain away. What happens now? Emma gazed down at her son. Now we negotiate from a position of strength. The DNA results confirmed what the birthmark had already revealed. James was unquestionably Richard's son. The courtroom atmosphere shifted dramatically at the next hearing. Richard's strategy of denial had collapsed, and with it, Vanessa's dream of stepping effortlessly into Emma's life. Emma observed the changing dynamic between them. Vanessa no longer touched Richard's arm possessively. Instead, she sat slightly apart, her expression tight with barely concealed fury. During a tense exchange outside the courtroom, Emma overheard Vanessa's bitter words. "You swore there was no way. Did you lie to me? Or were you just stupid?" Richard's response was equally cold. "Keep your voice down. This changes nothing between us." But Emma knew it changed everything. Richard's family-owned money with strict traditions would never allow him to abandon his legitimate heir. The Spencer legacy, built over generations, demanded continuity. Right on cue, Emma's phone rang. It was Richard's mother, Catherine Spencer. "I've just been informed I have a grandson," Catherine said, her aristocratic voice brittle with anger. "A grandson bearing our family mark, whom my son attempted to disown. I'm catching the next flight from London." The following day, Richard peered at Emma's hospital room alone, looking haggard. "My mother is coming," he said flatly. "I know. She's furious." "I imagine so." Richard ran his hands through his disheveled hair. "She's threatening to change the trust. Everything would go directly to James, with me as nothing more than a trustee." Emma remained silent, letting him squirm. "We could still work something out," he finally said, "for Jane's sake. We could try counseling, perhaps. Where's Vanessa today?" Emma interrupted. Richard flinched. "She's reassessing the situation." "You mean she's realizing that being the mistress to a disinherited husband isn't as glamorous as being the wife of a wealthy heir?" He had no response to that truth. "Should leave before your mother arrives," Emma said calmly. "I don't think you ought to be present for that conversation." Catherine Spencer was a force of nature, sweeping into Emma's life with the same commanding presence that had kept the Spencer empire thriving for decades. Impeccably dressed in Chanel, her silver hair perfectly coiffed, she took one look at baby James and her icy demeanor melted. "The Spencer eyes," she murmured, touching his cheek gently. "And the birthmark, of course. There's no mistaking his heritage." Over the following weeks, as Emma recovered and settled into motherhood, Catherine became an unexpected ally. The elder Spencer moved into the guest house on Emma's property, announcing she would ensure her grandson received his proper birthright. "Richard's behavior has been unconscionable," Catherine declared one evening as they sat on the terrace overlooking the ocean. "The board agrees. His position as CEO is now probationary." Emma learned that Vanessa had vanished from Richard's life almost immediately after the trust arrangements were altered. According to Catherine's private investigator, she was already dating a hedge fund manager in Connecticut. "She tried to replace you," Catherine said bluntly. "But she never understood what truly makes someone a Spencer. It's not just the name or the fortune, it's character." The divorce proceedings concluded swiftly. Richard, facing his family's disapproval and the collapse of his carefully constructed narrative, accepted terms that were exceptionally favorable to Emma and James. On Jane's first birthday, Emma hosted a small celebration in the garden. Catherine arrived early, helping with the final arrangements. "I've received Richard's invitation to the London office," Emma mentioned casually. Catherine nodded. "The Singapore expansion needs someone with your scientific background. The pharmaceutical division has always been the future of Spencer Industries. And if I accept, then my grandson would grow up understanding both sides of his heritage, his father's business acumen and his mother's brilliant mind." Emma smiled, watching James toddle toward them, his birthmark visible beneath his T-shirt sleeve, the mark that had revealed everything and, ultimately, saved them both. Later that night, after everyone had gone, Emma stood in James' nursery, watching him sleep peacefully. She thought about the journey from betrayal to restoration, from heartbreak to new purpose. The baby's face had indeed revealed everything, not just paternity, but the truth about loyalty, family, and what truly matters in the end.